It's so funny because I remember as soon as I got to LA like a month ago, Kendrick put out the thing about his album being released. And so
Yeah,
I said, this is really one of those things where like, 10, 15 years from now, we're going to be like, man, I remember where I was when Kendrick dropped.
exactly where
That's
I
an
was
announcement.
at.
And I was like, there's very few artists you do that with. Because I remember even last year, like when Cole dropped, we did the same thing. We were like, oh, shoot. Like I remember like being in my room, sitting at my desk, like J. Cole's dropping in May. So
Yeah.
what were some of you guys' initial reactions to this Kendrick album?
I'll say you go first, Reed.
Well, funny story. I actually, my first listen was, we're recording this on Sunday, May 15th. My first listen was last night.
Okay.
It was last night,
Okay.
because like I'll admit, like Kendrick's not like one of my favorites, but Kendrick is one of those type of artists where you're gonna listen when he
You gotta
drops,
tune in.
Yes.
especially when it's been 5 years. You're gonna listen when he drops. My initial reaction, I think I love side A more than side B, like a lot. Like side A just seemed like it flows so well. I like that side of Perfect. I like that side of Kendrick. It's like a little more introspective. He has a couple up tempo songs, but it was a lot more like laid back. I really enjoyed that first listen, especially the side A.
Yeah.
And a lot of times like first listens to albums, like they don't usually go bad, but I think Kendrick's the type of person where it's like it's only gonna get better the more you listen to it, because he's just somebody that really like works at his craft. Like he obviously he took time like to make this album, probably like a year or two to really make it. And he's somebody where it's like some songs might go over your head, some songs might really grow on you. Like I could listen to this again, like, and then in a month, like side B might be my favorite part of the album. Like that's just how good Kendrick is. And my just initial take is like it's a really good project, and I think it's gonna age gracefully.
Yeah. It's funny because I wanted to hear your reaction first, Reed, because I knew Kendrick wasn't your like top tier, like that isn't who you would choose to listen to on a regular basis. So, and I feel like that's just where we are right now in hip hop, where we know Kendrick is one of the he's top 3 at least of what we know in hip hop in our generation, especially. But my initial play. My first initial response, it's a lot of vibes on this mug.
Yeah.
Like I made it to like song like 13, 14. I'm like, dang, this mug is not all over the place, but like I said, it had a bunch of different vibes to it. And I'm with you on that, Reek. Like once I got done listening to it, I think Kaylee, you even hit the group chat like, man, it's a lot to unpack here.
Bro, yes. There's so much, bro. There's a lot.
Yeah. So that was mine, honestly.
I will say for me, bro, this album probably changed my opinion on how I feel about double albums. We talked about that before, how they have a lot of filler songs. I don't think this really has any filler songs. Everything works like very well together. I don't think there's anything in here that really feels out of place, honestly, because I think he dives into so many different topics. And he addresses a lot of things that have been happening over the last like 2-3 years that have been super chaotic. Plus all the things on top of his life, because when he, my favorite song on here, I will say, is probably Savior.
Okay.
And when he talks about, COVID and all this stuff on there, and, the black squares people were, I'm like, bro, like, you're going back 2 years ago talking about this stuff when all that was going on. People were like, oh, well, where's Kendrick during this stuff? And I'm like, I think he really kind of showed like, hey, like, I'm still sitting back watching what's going on. Like, you might not hear from me, but like, I'm paying attention. And I think, Malik, you might have mentioned it, but a lot of the name dropping on this album, bro, was a lot. I was like Cole, Bron, Kyrie, Drake, Kanye. I'm like,
Kanye, yep.
Oh man, I was like, he is watching everything. So
well, let me ask you this too. I mean, I seen people say that like, yeah, he did bring up a relevant conversation, but somebody had like a tweet that went kind of viral. So I guess when you see a tweet go viral, you think a lot of people had to agree with it. They said it sounded like Kendrick was rapping from the past, and they said the same thing happened with Cole, because Cole kind of disappeared for a little bit and came back and started rapping on topics and stuff. And they like, it feels like somebody was in a cave for 5 years and came back out, and this is the album they made. And I was like, that's an interesting take. I don't know. I'll just say, did you guys see that, or did you care for it?
I mean, you would kind of expect it, because Kendrick hasn't dropped really anything within the last 5 years, and the last 2 years of life everywhere has been wild. So it's like, you kind of expect him to touch on some topics from like maybe 2020, but I mean,
right.
It's still great music. Like I don't see any issue with it or anything.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say the same thing. It's just like, I mean, what do you really expect? And I think it's one of those things too, where I think Tyreek, you might have mentioned it earlier, but my thing with Kendrick has always been I don't really appreciate his music until later, because I didn't really like Good Kid, Mad City until Damn came out, and I didn't really like To Pimp a Butterfly until maybe 2-3 years ago. And so this album, I like it a lot on the first listen, but there's probably so much stuff I won't probably like fully understand or like relate to until maybe like 2 years from now.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about the Kodak? I
was gonna
like
mention
bashing
that.
him for it.
Nah, I liked it. I don't know why. It's not something I expected, like
at all.
Kodak to have a lot of not only just like references and songs, but then he had the interlude, then he had his verse.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it, but I liked it. I rock with Kodak, so it's like, okay.
I rock with Kodak too, but the same side of it is this is a Kendrick Lamar album. Like this is gonna be something that's gonna be monumental in hip hop for a very long time. Is Kodak in that conversation? Is Kodak in the conversation? Monumental?
I don't know, but I was thinking about this last night because I had a feeling you was gonna bring this up. I don't know, like when I was in high school, bro, 2016, 2017, like Kodak was that.
He was the guy. Yeah.
Everything he touched was almost a hit, bro. Like he did kind of, I don't want to say fall off, but like he had a rough few years for sure.
He did, especially in and out of jail.
Yeah. So it's like he had a monumental 2-year run. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you too, because Malik, I know you brought up there was no TDE features, and a lot of people.
I tweeted that off rip.
People said it's an L, but some people are like, we're okay with it. I really wasn't okay with it, to be honest.
I'm not okay. I wasn't okay with it at all.
I wasn't okay with it.
Just because I'm a Schoolboy Q fan.
Yes.
You feel me? I'm an Isaiah Rashad fan. Mm-hmm. I'm an Absol fan.
Yep.
You feel me? You ain't got one of them dudes on there?
Nope.
That's just weird. It's just weird to me. Like, what was the conversation like? What was they talking about? Was they just like, nah, leave me off of it? Like, it's just weird. It was just weird to me.
I'm really surprised there was no like J-Rock or anything. I was like,
J-Rock?
Yeah,
like,
he was
nobody,
the one I was really waiting for. I was like, okay, like there might be like, some J-Rock, but there wasn't. I was like, oh, okay, like that's cool. That's cool.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Very, very odd.
I'll say, I mean, we can move on to the next. I mean, favorite. What was your the first song on there that you was like, oh, this is fire?
United in Grief, the intro.
People are saying that's a top Kendrick intro right now.
That's hard. That might be.
N95
like two
was
songs in one.
Yeah, N95 was really good, but when I heard Die Hard, I'm like, oh yeah, this is my favorite song.
Yeah,
like that was my favorite song off Rip, and it probably still is after the first listen.
Mm-hmm. Die Hard tough. I have a tie right now, and this is it's funny because I know one of my boys is gonna flame me up for this. My first one is definitely Silent Hill with Kodak Black. Off of first listen, first playthrough, like that was the first song where I was like, okay, this hard. And the interlude where Baby Keem held his own, bruh.
Yes.
People are my boy gonna slander me because he gonna be like, a song without Kendrick on Kendrick's album is one of the best. Like, all right, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when I heard it, I'm like, God, Baby Keem held his own.
He did.
He
definitely did.
So I give everybody in the room props for that one because I was just going through the album and I hear Baby Keem talking in 18 different rhythms and different flows and saying weird syllables. I'm like, what is he on?
What is this?
My first listen on now, I was like, yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah, that was a lot. I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Another
that song, Auntie Diaries, was kind of like, that was a lot.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. I was like, oh. I was like,
I mean, what was your guys' thoughts on that one? I mean, obviously the biggest thing is he talks about transphobia and then he used the F word.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been telling everybody that's not my community, so I can't have a strong opinion on that.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm the same. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, okay, and like, just. I don't think we have ever really heard Kendrick tackle that topic, so it was like it seemed really like I was like, oh man, like his story. But I think that's song though too, like his storytelling. is one of the things that he's been, you know, we've all kind of been on for. I mean, us as hip hop fans, we've always kind of known he's had good storytelling, but since his video he put out about a week ago, the Nipsey side of things, his storytelling now I think is like as good as it's ever been.
Yeah, I would agree. You say you had another song, Reek?
Yeah, Purple Hearts. When that off first listen was beautiful.
That was a solid song. That's the song with Ghostface, right?
Yep, and Summer.
Okay. Yeah.
I just know Kendrick was like laying out the chorus and stuff, the vocals, and he was like, he just knew Summer Walker would be like perfect to have.
Yep.
And I couldn't like imagine any other like R&B artist being on that song but her.
Yeah.
She has one line in there that like I'm not gonna say on here, but it was a lot. And I was like, oh. I had to replay the line and look at the lyrics. I was like, oh, so that's what she said.
Yep.
I was like, cool, that's cool. I wanted to ask you guys though, because there's been several like different interviews I've watched with Kendrick, and he's like mentioned Eminem as one of his influences. That song "We Cried Together," bro, that reminds me of Eminem has a song, I think it's on the Marshall Mathers LP called Kim. It is very similar to that, and I'm like, that kind of like shows his influence a little bit, I think. And I don't think I've ever really seen M's influence in Kendrick. Like every once in a while you will, but I thought
that's really a good point. That's a really good point, because I went, and now that I'm thinking back, that's definitely an Eminem type.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Song, so shout out Eminem. Shout out Eminem,
man. But as of right now, what would you guys score it? What would you rank it, like out of 10?
8.
8.
I feel like you can't go wrong with an 8 on the first week it's been out.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say 8, and I'm gonna also say, as fans of like music, people just need to like let things digest a little bit. Like people be trying to be the first to have their opinion out like an hour after the album drop. Like, bro, it just dropped. Like, let it people be on TikTok having album reviews already done like 12 hours later. Like, bro,
this is the track number 4 was my favorite because that was like first day stuff. I'm like, how many times did you have to listen to this album to get that strong of an opinion on it?
Yes.
Man, like music is such a fluid thing. Like we said earlier, like a song that you hated off first listen, like a month later, can be your favorite song on the album. Especially with somebody like Kendrick. Like songs are gonna grow on you. Mm-hmm. People be trying to be the first to be like, oh, this is a classic. This is his best album.
That is true. People do be trying to be like, nah, this is the one. I told y'all back in 2022.
Man, like. People just, I don't know. That's like the instant gratification era that we're in. Like people just want to be the first to have a big time opinion out, and it's just like, calm down a little bit, man. Let it digest just a little bit.
I don't think I've even tweeted anything about that. Maybe like one thing, but I'm like, I just want to like sit with it and like, you know. And I even went back a while ago and watched an interview with Kendrick on he was on the Breakfast Club after he dropped "To Pimp a Butterfly," and he was talking about it. He was like, I want people to like sit with my music. I don't want this to be like you're calling it a classic a week later. And Charlamagne the God's like, well, why do you have a problem with that? And this is this. And Kendrick's like, I might say something now in this song that does not make sense to you, but it might later. And it's like, I mean, that's so true, bro. So many artists are like that.
Yeah.
So many artists are like that.
I mean, I always say too, I mean, like you said, to let an album digest, like Kendrick is the person to say that about. Like he's not, I would say, well, a lot of people agreed, like, Damn, I feel like was definitely his best commercial project. Like every song on there could have probably been played in somebody's club, bar, and nobody would have been mad at it.
No.
To Pimp a Butterfly, you definitely could not say the same for it. Like there was some songs on there, if you let it ride in the club, people are gonna be like, what is going on? What we got going on in here? But I feel like this album gonna be the same way, kind of. Like I feel like there's gonna be songs we probably can't escape for a little bit, and then there's gonna be songs that, you feel me? It was art. Like that's the only thing you can say about it. It was art.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can't judge that off what 72 hours of the album being out, man. It's crazy.
I will say the N95 video is hard.
Yes, I did see that. I just watched it this morning. I just watched it this morning. Yeah. Well, I got one more question. Actually, just going back to what we was talking about, the features. I mean, I was kind of expecting a Drake. I was kind of expecting a Cole.
I was too. I really
Oh
was.
man, I was not at all. That's crazy.
I thought we was gonna get a surprise Cole feature, man.
A surprise Cole feature would have been just a little to it. You know what I mean? I would have been like, okay, we in business now. Like, let's get it. So I don't know, man. Drake and Cole, I feel like got left out on it. Those are two people I was kind of expecting to at least get a verse, a chorus, something.
Because I know they got songs together. Like
they have to. They have to.
Yeah. Oh man, I was not even thinking. Now you guys got my hopes up for something that's not even there, man.
We might deluxe. We still got deluxes. We still got deluxes. I just had that conversation with somebody. If he does a part 1, part 2 to the same album and then a deluxe with it that has additional songs, that's gonna be. I feel like that's gonna be tough.
Yeah. That is
Kendrick, he don't seem like the type to do that, but he's been gone for 5 years, so he should.
Yeah, he should. He should. Which he did do like I forgot what he called it for Damn, where he just flipped the set
like
list.
Something collectors or something.
Yeah. That was his deluxe. So he's played with that idea before. So I feel like if a deluxe is like an updated album, that would be hard. That's my opinion.
So I want to ask you about the Damn album though, because the collector's version, or whatever, is like the way it's supposed to actually go.
Right.
So is the real version, the first version of Damn we got, would that be the like special one, or what do you think? Because I'm like, if the collectors,
I would still say the reverse set list is the special one, because when I played it just to hear it, just to, like, it was a musical experience to be like, oh, he put the same album backwards. Let me see how I feel.
This is like, I listened to that not too long ago, and I was like, this is actually really different.
It is.
It's really different. Listen to it the real way. Yeah.
Actually, I really like Damn. Like when it dropped, I think that was my junior year of high school. Like I listened to that. It was probably like top 2 most listened albums of that year for me.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, ending this, where do you guys see this album going in the long term? We've all agreed we gotta wait till it digests. We all agreed it didn't hit us the same like Damn when it dropped. Where do you guys see this album in the long term? Because I mean, I feel like that's okay to have an opinion on that, because now we're getting to the point where people are going back to the albums they like. You know what I mean? People already heard it, so they're gonna play something else. Is this gonna get back into people's rotation? Is this gonna be a top 3 Kendrick album?
I'm curious to see where it stands after he's done with his tour, because it seems like after people go on tours, their album. Because I even think like Tyler. Yes. His album jumped back up this year after his tour, and I'm like,
and that was for good cause. Everybody said his shows was one of one,
and so I want to see what these Kendrick shows are going to be like, because I'm about to buy the tickets when they drop next week. I'm about to wait in line.
Man, I'm gonna be right there with you. Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. I feel like as of right now, I'd probably put it like maybe top 3. Right as of right now, I'd probably put it top 3.
Yeah, I think it could be top 3. Yeah, eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna put a number on it right now, but I think it could end up being top 3. I don't think he'll ever top To Pimp a Butterfly or Good Kid, Mad City. I don't think he ever will.
Those are the 2 I was thinking that are probably always going to be ahead of it.
Yeah,
which is fine. Yeah. Some artists,
which is all right.
Some artists drop projects which are just untouchable. Like it happens.
It happens. Yeah, I'm with y'all on that, man. It could definitely be top 3. My next question is, a lot of people have talked about the growth of Kendrick throughout his years in music, and how it's crazy he's even doing what he's doing at this point of his career. And people kept bringing up Section 80. Reek, I know you're not a huge Kendrick Lamar fan, but did you get a chance to tune into Section 80? Okay. Yeah. So
let me look at the track list.
Yeah, I'm about to say I've seen a lot of Kendrick fans bringing up Section 80, and I feel it. I feel that. Like, this is a very back to his root type album.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a great way to think of this album, because Section 80 was great, man. That was a good project.
You know, that's funny because like I got the same vibe. I hate to bring up Cole, but when the offseason dropped, I felt like that was like young J. Cole.
Yes.
So that's like a very good point, because this does feel like it's kind of like back to his roots a little bit. Just getting like that old sound, that old vibe going. Yeah. And looking at the track list, it's like I can see it. I can see
Yeah,
it.
I can see it too.
Yeah. You know what's actually funny? I was just talking to one of my friends about this the other day, but I look at Cole and Kendrick right now, and I look at Drake too, because I think majority of us can agree, like for our generation, those are like the three head guys.
Yeah.
But Drake, I don't think does that. I don't think he ever really gets back to how he was when he first started, bro. It's always like how much money he has now and everything, and like he almost feels unrelatable at this point. As much as I love Drake, he feels really unrelatable. Kendrick and Cole, I like, as much as I wasn't a crazy big fan of Cole's last album, but he has some things on there that I'm like, oh, like, as an average everyday human being, I relate to that.
Yeah.
Same with Kendrick, but like Drake is just like, oh, I have all this money. I'm like, okay,
Drake
bro,
is
like, I can't relate to like
dang.
having $500 million and signing some $400-500 million. I'm like, I can't relate to that.
Dang.
Yeah, but like 2010 Drake, he was like to like probably 2016, 17 Drake. He was saying so many things. I was like, oh, like I relate to that. But now it's almost like
you guys all remember the memes of like. Anytime someone was sad, people related that to go turn on some Drake. Like people don't even say that anymore. Like that meme is gone.
Yes, I'm like that's crazy to think, bro. Like it's just, and it's not saying anything like wrong with it. I mean that just might be his growth as an artist. But Kendrick and Cole, I will say they've always kind of stuck to, they've always been true to who they are.
Yeah, which is definitely something to definitely think about when we're talking about like these dudes is top of the top. Like I had somebody tweet me the other day where it was like I don't think Cole and Kendrick is still into it like they used to be, and I'm like,
okay,
I'm like, if you're a rapper, if you're any type of like musician, you're literally watching everything they're doing.
Yes,
like you're literally learning every step they've taken because they've done it.
Yep.
They've already completed being a rapper. Like that mission is completed. Yep. I'm like, so you can't even compare it to somebody who's still grinding. You know what I mean? Still hungry. Mm. Like them dudes did it. And yeah, like you said, Drake. I mean, hey, I think Drake he definitely raps about what he's going through. And hey, if he buying jets and stuff,
I'm like, hey man, do you?
Do you? I think
being in
Drake,
Geneva. I'm like, hey,
all right.